Oh, God. There it is. Hello.
What up, Facebook? Happy Thursday. Chelsea checking in here. Recovery Fitness going live. And my buddy Kirsten's joining me today. So I'm super stoked about that. So we are trying out using the StreamYard company to try and do some duo videos to see if it's something we enjoy. See if anyone else out there enjoys it as much as we do. So we thought we'd keep today just kind of lighthearted, and yeah, we'll kind of wait a few moments for people to join in. So I hope everyone's having a good week so far. It is Thursday, people. You are almost through the week. That is awesome. How are you doing this week, Kirsten?
I'm doing all right, doing all the things.
Yeah.
I just mowed the lawn today, so that was good.
Yeah.
To be out in the sun and actually doing something where I was moving,
Absolutely. Definitely good to get outside. I think it's going to be almost 70 today too.
Yeah, there's a lot of rain coming though, so I figured get out there today before that all hits.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I would say one thing I'm definitely grateful for is the time of the year that the pandemic is happening, I guess. And it's kind of headed into spring and it's, starting to get nicer weather outside. So at least we can all get outside and, not be cooped up by the snow.
This is true. That would just add to the depression.
Yes, for sure. Oh, all right. Jake's on here. Hey, Jake. Hey, Marilyn.
Marilyn. Oh, yeah, I've seen her popping up on a few of the videos.
Yes. I know. It has been a long time.
Yeah.
All right. So today we thought we would do some, typical Kirsten and Chelsea nonsense because that's what we do best. It's all the nonsense. So there's a cool website called Random Word Generator. And it is, if you're wondering what that is, it is literally exactly that. It's a random word generator. So we figured today we'll try it out a couple times. Again, this is more so just so we can test out if we like doing the duo videos. If you guys, all of our followers, enjoy seeing more than one of us on here, we appreciate you joining in on all of our videos the past couple weeks and month and 2 months and however long we've been doing this now. So just to kind of mix it up a little bit and keep things exciting. So please feel free to comment. I'm still able to see everybody's comments in here. Hey, Danny. So yeah, we're just going to kind of pick a random word from the random word generator. And Kirsten and I are going to do our best to kind of go back and forth and relate it to recovery. So some of these might be a really big stretch and complete nonsense, but that's what makes it fun, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. And if we don't like any, if we get stuck, we're going to skip them. So the first word is portion.
Portion.
I have to think on that one for a second.
Portion.
So
what's coming to mind for me is how they say when I'm a person that uses mutual aid groups, right? So when you go into these different things, I guess you could tie it to anything too, like whatever works for me for recovery. A lot of people say go in and test out the theory, take little pieces, portions, if you will, of these different activities that we have that are sober living activities, and find what works for you. So really what my brain is doing with the word portion and recovery is all the different, over the years, all these different portions of different recovery, aids that I've found that I now mesh together into this unique and magical thing that works for Kirsten, for recovery. So yeah, that's what my brain's doing with it.
Look at that, running away with the first one. I like it. Yeah, I guess if I think of portion, I'm kind of thinking of, being able to, and it's kind of relating to balance in my mind a little bit, but being able to portion off my time for the different things that I need in my life, whether it's, my support network, just my friends, my family, and time for me. And that's been definitely a challenge. But, having all of this downtime has allowed me to start portioning off more of those things in, different sections of the day and, different groups of people. So I guess that's kind of what comes to my mind. All right, on to the next word. Courtesy, not curtsy, Chelsea.
Who's courtesy? So courtesy?
Courtesy. We should give
common courtesy.
Yeah, common courtesy. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So in our field work, what we do is in a way, and we were talking about this morning in the training, is like, offering people the courtesy of doing recovery their own way, and finding what it is that works for them and like pulling that out of them, I guess I'm connecting it to like patience and understanding and, meeting people where they're at. We have courtesy in the fact that we're not berating, judging, or like trying to guide someone down what we think is right. That's my first hair trigger thought with courtesy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty good. I think, tied right into kindness and politeness too. You know what I mean? I think very, very much in my past, I was, very quick trigger and very quick to get irritable and annoyed with people and really just kind of let anything out of my mouth without really thinking about it and probably offending and hurting a lot of people in my past. So for me, I guess I'm thinking about, really being mindful in the things that I'm saying to people today, and doing my best to think before I open my mouth. And again, I'm human. It doesn't always go so well, but it's more of an awareness today. That's what I've been talking to most of you about the past couple of weeks is, growing your self-awareness and really paying attention to the language you're using, how you're talking to yourself internally, but also how you're talking to other people when you leave your house and go out in the world with your mask on. So
it's I find it like it's coincidental that we both like, and I found it a common theme with a lot of us since all this started. One of the focuses has been that awareness, and then how we're treating people and how that makes us treat ourselves at the end of the day, or vice versa, like how I'm treating myself then trickles out to how I treat other people too. I just think it's a not necessarily a coincidence. Like there's a reason that we're focusing on all of this self-awareness and, trying to treat people better than we have in the past, in general, and ourselves. A lot of us are sitting with ourselves for a lot of time today, so it's really like all that stuff is coming to the surface, all that negative talk and, how much we judge ourselves and stuff like that. So even being courteous with yourself,
Yeah, absolutely. And doing our best too, acknowledging that, because at times, because we are humans and there are times where we are going to make mistakes and, say something that offends or hurts somebody. But, as our self-awareness grows, we're able to recognize that now when something, unnecessary comes out and I'm like, oh, wow, like that wasn't really necessary to say, Chelsea, and just kind of doing those self-check-ins like, all right, well, like, I think this came out of the book I was reading to you all like a week or so ago, but doing these check-ins before you even make decisions or even before you talk to people sometimes, is it kind? Is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? And sometimes it comes out too late, right? But growing that self-awareness, we can take a step back and say, all right, well, that was unnecessary. Like, what can I do to make it right or apologize? So yeah, absolutely. Definitely growing with that. All right. Moving on. Suite. SUITE, like a hotel suite.
Oh man.
Do we want to pass that one?
I don't know.
I got nothing for that.
You have nothing.
Come on, random word generator. All right. The next one is relate. RELATE. Relate.
Okay. You said it. I was just talking about that news piece you were on this morning, and you said it perfectly in there. The opposite of addiction is connection, because in addiction we're isolated and we're doing, everything by ourselves for the most part. And when we come into recovery, like we're looking for that and we're trying to relate anything, we're trying to find people who are like us, and then once we find that, we grow. I mean, for my story, and I know most of yours too, like we end up finding this whole community that we do relate to, and that becomes this odd, dysfunctional, hilariously amazing family, that we all find this relatability and in just our behaviors. It doesn't have to be like what we're doing with our lives or our jobs or our wallets or any of that stuff. It ends up being like our behaviors and the way that we think and, stuff like that. So for me, like thinking about relate, I think about coming in, and trying to find that I'd never found in anybody else in my life, finding those relatable moments, those little things that like, okay, I'm not different. These people are just like me, and finding a couple of years later, having a family that we all relate, and mesh very well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for a lot of you who are new into recovery, I know there's a few of you who've been showing up on all of our videos that are kind of new into recovery and new to recovery itself. And, we definitely welcome you into that recovery family. And, it can be, I've talked to a few people and they're, I'm brand new and I don't really know anybody yet. But, that's something that just takes time to build. But the cool thing is no matter what, like even coming into the recovery realm of things, like the majority of us really have a lot of commonalities, and it's not something we can see on the surface, right? So it's well below that tip of the iceberg kind of diagram I'm thinking of, I guess. And, we all have those very similar struggles. We've all, gone through, similar feelings, and that's what it's really about. That's where we're really able to relate to each other, is at the very core of ourselves, right? All the struggles that we've been through, and none of us all got to be as close as we are, just like that. It definitely takes time to build those relationships. But what really helps with that is really letting people in and being vulnerable. And some of you have been so amazing with the way you're opening up on our Facebook Live videos. Just you letting us into your lives and letting other people into your lives too with your vulnerability. I know Jake's watching. Jake's been, somebody who's been great on here and really just opening up and just letting us hear parts of your story and sharing so much of your knowledge and experience has just been amazing. So already right there, that's building that relatability. We're able to kind of combine those, like underneath those internal commonalities that we all have. And, I find comfort in that. A lot of our stories look very different on the outside, and it's funny, Kirsten and I quite often joke about how similar we are, or the majority of you Facebook friends like to see how similar we are, often confusing the two of us.
Right.
We thought it would be funny to do a video together. But if you really get to know each of us separately, our stories look very different on the outside. Externally, they're extremely different, two broad ends of the spectrums. We got into recovery very different ways. But what's underneath all of that is that relatability of the same feelings and the same sadness and the same heartbreak and all the crap that we've all been through. That's what's relatable, that's underneath. So for any of you that are, kind of new coming into recovery, or even not, if you're just looking to branch out and reach and connect more people, like that's the way to go at it, is to just, let people in and be vulnerable. And that doesn't mean, tell every single person your entire life story, you know what I mean? But, relate to other people's feelings, relate to their struggles they're going through, especially right now. That's one way we can continue to relate to each other. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Brian Quinn says, "Oh my God, the two of you together. This is fantastic."
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Coming at you live.
All right. Next word, rider.
Oh. Well. Rider. I don't know.
I don't know either. Adoption.
What?
Adoption.
Adoption. Oh my
God. Well, I can say that you all are my adopted recovery family.
There you go.
Does that count?
We'll adopt all of you. I can also say that I know specifically Yana and I have an issue with adopting random animals. So there's that.
Fair enough. Yeah, well, it's nice to be able to have even our furry friends to be there as supports, including humans too. So,
oh my God, I love my furry friends.
Adopt all the kittens and puppies. Well, maybe not all of them.
No.
All right, next word. The next word is finger.
Finger. Relate that to recovery, Chelsea. Come on.
All right, I got it. All right, so when I think of that, I think of how quickly, and I'm going to do my best to keep it on myself here, but how quickly in the past I would very much be able to point the finger at somebody else.
Good. Yeah, I like that.
Put my blame on them. I think as humans, we are always looking for certainty. And oftentimes that really comes out in the form of blame. Like when something tragic happens, something horrific happens, we're always looking for someone or something to blame. There must be an explanation, right? That's kind of how we function as humans. But really realizing into my recovery that, one of those annoying statements that I've been told over and over is that when you point the finger, you've got three pointing back at you. So oftentimes if I'm getting irritated or mad frustrated at somebody else, usually it's something I'm seeing in myself that's reflected in the other person that I'm really not comfortable with. So it really forces me to take a look at myself before I start placing that blame. But, just doing our best to, just, I don't know, kind of being able to take ownership for my own stuff, instead of putting that blame on somebody else, because I can't control what other people do. I can't control people's nonsense out in the world. Like, that's just, yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Thanks.
I like where your brain went with that one.
Just checking in with some of your comments. Melanie's on here.
Hello.
Betsy's on here. Hi, Betsy. Betsy says, yes, it does. I love this. I'm adopted and love being adopted into our community. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. I was thinking too a few minutes ago, like I wouldn't have seen it coming. I know that we've talked about it as Rockcovery before, but like how much our community has grown during the virtual time. Like, and you've hit on it a couple times. People are getting vulnerable on live feeds. People are reaching out to us, and our numbers have just like went through the roof. And we're not just like having these people watch our videos. We're actually building relationships with these people. And it's absolutely amazing, like what is still possible through this version of our world today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely a challenge at first. I mean, I wouldn't want to say for all of us, but for the majority of people that I've met in recovery, it's a challenging thing to be vulnerable and open up and share our stories. There's some really difficult things in there. But, the more that I've done it, at least, and I know, you have, and you know what I mean? Like, the more we open up and be vulnerable, like we're able to just let new people in and connect with them on this deeper level, I don't know. It's more rewarding that I've found.
Right.
All right, let's pick another couple words and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Okay, I don't know what that is. FAR. FAR.
FAR. The first thing that comes to mind is like when I first came into recovery years ago, someone asked me, how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go to stay sober? And I didn't really know. I didn't understand that at the time at all. And then, someone else pointed it out to me, like, how far did I go to do whatever it was that I was doing in my life before that was unhealthy? Whether it was substances, behaviors, relationships, whatever it was, how much effort did I put into that, all that stuff, so I need to put like that much, if not more, into my recovery if I want to stay sober. And like I've said a million times, like recovery for everybody looks different. It's not just about alcohol and drugs. And I've learned that over time. My addiction and my recovery is so much deeper than all of that. Me and you talk about it all the time, like specifically with like relationships with other human beings, like I have to put that much effort into like progressing those and growing those things to recover in all areas of my life, more so than I did in the unhealthy manner that I was living for years prior to that. So when I think, FAR, that's like really the biggest thing popping out in my brain is like, how far are you willing to go? How much effort are you really willing to put into growth and change and progress, to recovery, holistically,
That was a good one. That was really good. It was deep. Okay, I got it. You are so far away from me. All right.
Oh, man. Dependency.
All right. The next word is practical.
Practical.
I feel like I need like an exact dictionary definition. Like
literally our brains are stupid similar. I literally just was like, I want to Google that right now. I want to Google.
So I'm Googling it and it says, so practical, number one, of or concerned with the actual doing or use of something rather than the theory or ideas. Number two, likely to succeed or be effective in real circumstances. How feasible is it? How suitable for a particular purpose is it? Think about that for a second. Over concerning actually.
Like thinking about in one of them, it said like the theory, the difference is like the actual action, right, of doing something differently rather than the theory of whatever. Is that like part of the first definition? And I think about all the time I've spent in and out of different programs or whatever the case might be. And the difference between who I was then when I was like, I had the theory of being a different human being and recovering myself in many ways. I had the theory. I had all of like the want and the desperation there, but I didn't put any action behind it. So I was like on this hamster wheel, of the same person, the same behaviors coming out, the same actions inevitably coming out, until I got to a point where, I don't know, something flipped. And I started actually putting the action in, and now who I am today, 2 years later, after doing that, going through all of that. I don't know, it's weird, so thinking about that part of the definition comes to mind.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I was looking up like farther down the definitions, kind of doing something that's sensible and realistic in our approach. Like the example of was like, I'm not, or putting it in a sentence was, I'm not unfeeling, just trying to be practical. But I guess thinking about, being realistic or sensible about things, I guess I would look at it like in recovery and sobriety today, like, my mind is, a little bit more clear than it used to. So I'm able to, when I'm doing, most of my actions throughout the day, they're more practical. They're more realistic today. They're more, you know what I mean? I think for a long time I lived with these grandiose ideas, or I would make up situations and scenarios in my head that I was, so concerned about that didn't even exist, that hadn't even happened yet. Right. So I think some people call that like future tripping, like, and I think that's can be something that a lot of people are probably getting really stuck in right now. Like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen on tomorrow? What's going to happen a week from now? What is this going to look like a month, a year from now? Like, you know what I mean? Like we can sit and spend all of our time and our energy in that future spot. But in doing that, we're missing everything that's happening right now. So I guess putting that, my thoughts into, more practical thoughts today instead of like, all right, like, yeah, I can have worry about the future and I'm not sure what's going to happen either. I can acknowledge that and I can acknowledge my fear and my worry over it, but I can bring it back now and, you know what I mean? Just make it more, I guess, make my thoughts and my actions more useful than, putting my time and energy into something that I can't control, I guess.
Right.
All right, let's do another one. Drawer. What? Fleet. I'm skipping a whole bunch of these. Ooh, this is a good one. All right, volunteer. We'll let this be our last one.
Volunteer. Man.
You were a volunteer once upon a time.
I know. My brain's doing it's doing all the things right now. All the things. So for me, like for my experience, when I think about volunteer, I think about, my story coming into all of this, and in the beginning, like I volunteered my time because I had nothing better to do, and then I started to like volunteer my time because people suggested I volunteer my time in certain areas, and over time, like it became something I actually wanted to do, and it's that in and of itself like has helped me be like accountable, helped me build relationships, helped me primarily step out of this shell that I came home in, 2 years ago. Like I was like a bubble of anxiety and had all the walls up, and like the biggest thing that did for me was like break all that down because I had to talk to people. I was serving people. I was helping people. And, then flip it. And now I do what I do at Rock Recovery, and I'm like overseeing volunteers, and I still do my own volunteer work on the side, but like overseeing all of it, watching them come in with that same mentality and so shut down, and like then watching them grow and build these relationships with us, with other members, with random people that come in or just like stuff on Facebook, whatever the case might be. The ripples go miles that we don't see. But watching that transition that I went through, but in somebody else's eyes, and watching, it's almost like that fire that we talk about in other areas of life. Like you see that light come on in their eyes, and now they have this amazing, like, they called it like the adoptive family. They have this amazing community, and they have this like sense of purpose, that they didn't have before. So for me, like, it's just like this whole, like when I said my brain's doing all the things, like I'm thinking of all that over the last 16 months it's been now. So I think since I started with Rock Recovery from the beginning, all of that is flashing through my head when I hear the word volunteer.
Yeah. it's pretty amazing to watch, even in the short amount of time that I've known you, to be able to watch where your journey has grown with that, to volunteering, to now, I don't want to say, just kind of being there to, kind of be in charge of the volunteers and to kind of lead them and educate them and show them how to step up too. And so it's just been this really cool journey to watch that, being part of the volunteer and now being part of the full recovery crew. And it's just a really cool journey. Yeah. Yeah. So many things come to mind with that word. First of all, shout out to all of our recovery volunteers. We miss you all. And, it's definitely hard for us to not even just not see each other, but also the volunteers too. You guys are what make the center run. You're the first people that, people who are walking in the door for the first time or second or 20th time, you're who they see at that front desk. So, shout out to you guys, and we miss you. We hope you're hanging in there doing well.
Blood, man.
Yeah, seriously. Absolutely. I guess I think about, kind of really tied into that, but kind of, doing, service for others, and that volunteering can look, all sorts of things, like whether, you're mowing the lawn for somebody else today, like, you know what I mean? Like that's an act of service. That's that kindness. That's an act of compassion and kindness. And it can be something so small as that, or, I don't know, baking for somebody, or, you know what I mean? Like holding the door for somebody, letting somebody out in traffic in front of you, instead of, getting mad and trying to scoop to the red light faster than they do. You know what I mean? It can just be all these little tiny actions that all of us can partake in. And, like, I guess I see that with like volunteering your time to do that, right? Like I'm not getting paid to be a decent, kind human being. You know what I mean? Like I'm volunteering my time, so to speak, to,
Right.
You're just kind of doing it from the goodness of your heart without expecting anything in return. And that's something that I've had to learn over time. I most certainly wasn't always that way. I think of volunteering in certain situations with, like church growing up with my parents, like we would go, help build homes in Mexico and things like that were fun at that time. You're volunteering your time to do something for somebody else less fortunate. And that was always really enjoyable. And now that looks different in my life today. I'm able to, just simple things like calling other people, whether they're struggling or not, whether it's just to talk, and especially during this time too, we get to get creative, right? We all get to get creative during this downtime, whether it's sending letters or sending goodies, or, Susie dressing up in a giant inflatable sunshine and stopping at people's front doors and surprising them with kindness. You know what I mean? Like that's volunteering our time. That's doing service and compassion and kindness for others. And, I guess one of the things I've really noticed from that is how true it is that it really does get us outside of ourselves. So if anybody is, really struggling and feeling kind of blah and ick, like one of the best cures for that is, do something kind for somebody else. It looks a little bit different in pandemic life today, but, get creative with it. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but, write letters to people. Receiving letters in the mail are one of the most joyful things, I think. Absolutely. All right. Well, so that was fun. Random word generator.
Random words.
So as always, we encourage it. If any of you are struggling seriously though, to please reach out to any of us. You can Facebook message us. I've posted our peer services, warm line up in the comments. It's 585-622-4975. You can email us as well. But really, even if you're not even wanting peer services, if you're just looking for, connection and some support, you can talk to any of us. We're here for you guys every single day. And, we just want you to know that you're not alone through this. This is difficult as weeks go on right now. We're all having to adjust, but, we can get through this and we can do this together. So thank you guys for joining us on Kirsten and Chelsea's Nonsense today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So please let us know if you actually enjoyed this format. We would love to do some more duo videos involving some other recovery staff too. We think it would be kind of a fun idea to get more of us on here, and so you can see more of our faces and we can connect more with you. So please feel free to just Facebook message us if you enjoyed this, if you didn't enjoy it, if you have any ideas. We're talking about doing some interview questions with each other too. So there's a good possibility that Kirsten and I will be on here at some point next week, but we will keep all of you wonderful people notified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome sauce. All right. Well, I hope everyone has an awesome day. Happy Thursday. Get outside, enjoy that weather today. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye.